Hey guys, Magnus Robber here, bringing you another Dead Walking Dead character video. Today we are looking at a big one, and that is of course Alden, former saviour, blacksmith for the Hilltop, and briefly Alexandria resident, adopted father to Adam, boyfriend to Enid, and all-round a chill dude. Alden is of course male. He is played by Callan McAuliffe. He is aged 22 in Season 8 and 30 in Season 11. When he dies, and he first appeared in The Damned. Before the outbreak, Alden was born in 1990. He was born to a father who wasn't a very good parent and also had a brother. Alden likely only recently left school by the time of the outbreak and may have been training in some form of construction. After the outbreak began, Alden's brother died at some point. Alden killed his brother's murderers, but it didn't make him feel any better like he hoped. Alden eventually found and joined a group called the Saviors. Alden was at some point sent to a bar to try and convert it to an outpost, however he determined it was impossible. After the satellite outpost massacre, Alden was moved to that particular outpost where he was a worker. He didn't really focus on the leadership of the group or its tactics. He was more happier that he was being protected and fed. In Season 8, Alden first appears trying to flee the satellite outpost after its second attack. He's surrounded by the militia and Jesus orders him to drop his gun and surrender, and Alden does, remarking, "Living sounds good to me." Alden informs the others they're surrounded and gets them all to surrender too. Alden is later seen alongside the rest of the captured saviors as he's transported towards the hilltop along the road. As they walk across the road, soon some zombies come tumbling down the hill, and Jared and his group flee into the woods. Alden's group attempts to do it, but he trips up Kathy, who's leading the group, stating their capturers have guns. Later, Alden arrives at the hilltop with the others. He's given some turnips by Jesus and eats, whilst the others are left chained up by the wall. At night, he asks Jesus why he's called that and what they're building inside of the community. He tells Jesus he is no angel, there's no such thing, and he's worried that his life depends on Maggie. In the morning, he and the others are transported to the prisoner pen. There, he watches Maggie hit Jared after he tries to steal Diane's gun and thanks Maggie for not killing him. He soon sees Jared trying to get out of his ropes with a rock, and he bumps into him, telling him to stop, saying he won't have him get them all killed. In the mid-season finale, Alden is in the cage, resting with the others when Maggie comes in and takes out Dean. Alden tells her she doesn't want to do this, and Dean tells him to shut up just before Maggie shoots him in the face. Maggie asks Alden if he wants to be next, and he backs down. The next morning, Alden asks Maggie if the Saviors could be let out for a few minutes of freedom each day. Maggie refuses, and Alden says that she shouldn't treat them like the enemy, but Maggie replies, "You are the enemy." Alden says, "We don't have to be." She also reveals she's cutting their rations for a few days, to Alden's shock. Later, Maggie returns and agrees to Alden's suggestion, allowing them to exit the pen supervised for a short time in order to exercise and for medical attention if they need it. During the battle, Maggie frees the prisoners, including Alden, to use them as bargaining chips. Alden is forced to speak to Simon on the radio. However, he is in utter dismay when he learns that Simon does not care for him or his captured savers' lives. The battle begins, and Alden tells Maggie he can help defend this place, but she does not allow it, and Alden is dragged back inside by Diane. The next morning, Alden is allowed by Maggie to bury the dead saviors alongside Cal outside the hilltop walls. Alden thanks Maggie for allowing him to do this. That night, Alden is resting in the pen when Henry visits with a gun, demanding to know who killed his brother. Alden tells the tale of his brother and how it won't make Henry feel any better, but Henry opens the pen anyway and demands who did it. But when a Kathy turns into a walker and begins to attack, Jared pushes past Henry and makes an escape. Alden, however, decides to stay, and when sDeath is attacked by a walker whilst checking up on the prisoners, Alden comes to the rescue to save him. Just then, Maggie comes with guns, telling him to drop his weapon, but he explains that him and the others left whilst he and some others decided to stay. He then points out some saviors who are helping to barricade the gate. He explains that he and the others mean nothing to Simon and Negan, so they have no allegiance. The morning after, he helps clean out the pen when Rick comes, asking if he knows of any possible places the escaped Jared and Saviors could have gone to. Alden informs Rick about the bar that they could have possibly fled to, but as Rick goes, Alden pleads with him not to kill any more of the Saviors than he has to. Rick agrees, but of course he lied. When Rick and Morgan return that night, Alden exchanges a look with Rick, knowing that Rick has killed all of them. The next day, Alden helps with the other saviors to divert walkers away, and when they arrive back into the Hilltop, they avoid an altercation with a deluded Morgan. Later, when the saviors approach to attack the Hilltop, Alden takes part in evacuating the residents. Tara stays behind, and so does Alden, asking to fight, and Tara refuses to give him a gun, but he says it doesn't matter as he's going to help anyway. He then rallies the other saviors to help Tara, and Alden is given a gun, but when the saviors approach, Aaron and the Oceanside suddenly come to the rescue and firebomb them, avoiding a battle entirely. After the war is over, Alden approaches Maggie, having read Georgie's Key to the Future guide. He tells her he can help build the things in the guide at the Hilltop, and he declares that's what he wants to do with the rest of his life. Maggie agrees to then let Alden stay at the Hilltop. In between Season 8 and 9, that's exactly what Alden did, working full-time at the Hilltop to help change it and build for the future. In Season 9, Alden accompanies the group to the Smithsonian in DC. He stays out on lookout whilst the others search inside the building. After they have the stuff, they leave, but on the way back, Alden talks to Marco and Ken about blacksmithing at the Hilltop, seeming to be interested in it. Soon Rosita informs him that the bridge is down and the group split up. Alden and his group take the wagon back to the sanctuary, but on the road, the car is jammed in some mud, zombies come, and Ken is killed. At night, back at the Hilltop, Alden gives a saddened eulogy for Ken and sings as he is buried. Later, when Maggie is attacked, Alden helps pin the culprit as Maggie rips off the hood to reveal it's a drunk Earl. The next night, Alden is present and watches Maggie give a speech to her people and Gregory at the gallows ready to be hung. Alden watches in shock as Gregory is hung and listens to Maggie as she declares she hopes this is the last time that this happens. After some saviors desert the bridge work, Alden informs Rick that they never arrived back at the sanctuary and are missing, making their families worried. Alden suggests giving a few guns to the right people, but Rick declares that he'll protect them. Alden suggests that sounds an awful lot like Negan. When the herd arrives at the labor site, Alden helps to kill some zombies, and after Justin's murder, the saviors get angry at the camp. Alden promises they'll get to the bottom of this, but Jared punches him in the face. Carol then stops in to stop Jed. Alden watches the crowd all draw their guns and melee weapons, and when they begin to accuse Daryl and Jadis, and then Rick rides in telling everyone to back off. Alden, off-screen, later is sent by Carol to convince the saviors to work on the bridge, but somehow Jed overpowered Alden and stole his gun. In between the big time skip, Alden took up blacksmithing, becoming Earl's apprentice, and began a sort of friends with benefits type of deal with Enid. Alden watches as Tara and Michonne have a heated conversation and listens as they are updated about the search party looking for Eugene. Michonne asks where Daryl and the search party is gone, but Alden says there ain't no way she's going to be catching up with them. Alden blacksmiths with Earl and begins to show Henry the ropes. Enid joins to talk Henry, and Alden comments that Henry is picking up fast. Alden and Enid go off where they chat and they share a kiss. Tara organises a search party for the search party with Alden. He suggests leaving it a bit longer. Marco says, let's do groups of 2, and Luke volunteers himself, and people are uneasy about letting him go, but Alden says that Luke can go with him. Luke introduces himself and Alden does the same. Enid gives him a farewell kiss, telling him to be safe as they ride off. Alden talks with Luke about music, saying music could be nice at the fair that's coming up, and Alden says he can sing. Luke suggests they team up at the fair, but Alden isn't too keen on that. They soon notice one of Yumiko's arrows, and Luke has a close call when he gets up close to it and the zombie attacks. But Alden does this sick spear throw to save him. They decide to follow the trail of arrows as they find another arrow, and Luke says if they find their people by following these arrows, then Alden has to sing at the fair. Alden notices a herd but decides to keep on going. Later they find another arrow and they see a strange looking zombie as it stops in its tracks. There's some more zombies stopping in their tracks. That first one is Alpha. She takes out a shotgun saying, "Trail ends here," and captures the 2 men. Later, when Alpha visits the Hilltop, she demands her daughter in exchange for Luke and Alden. Alden is held at knife point as Daryl discusses what to do with Alpha. When Alpha forces Frances to abandon her baby, Alden grunts and tries to alert his group about the baby that's in danger. He watches as Connie saves the baby, and later Lydia is traded for Alden and Luke. Enid and Alden embrace. She says she never wants to let go of him, and later at night Alden and Enid have sex in their bed. At the fair, Alden and Enid listen to Ezekiel's speech. After the speech, Luke is trying to convince Alden to sing with him as Alden and Enid eat some candy apples. Enid says she wants to hear her crooner boyfriend croon, and Alden is a bit taken aback by the boyfriend label, and Enid says, "Yeah, you're my boyfriend, aren't you?" Alden agrees. Luke then still tries to get Alden to agree to singing, and Alden is talked into it and begins practicing, and Enid promises she'll only make a little bit of fun of him for the rest of their lives. Enid must have gone off for some reason, and later when Alden and Luke perform, he notices Enid is not in the crowd. Soon he tragically learns that Enid was decapitated by Alpha. He listens to sDeath's speech in sadness, and in the finale, Alden helps the kingdom evacuate to the Hilltop during the winter storm. On the road, he's hostile to Lydia, and Daryl has to tell him to lay off. They stay the night in the sanctuary, and Alden is present as Michonne plans to pass everyone over the frozen ice lake. They end up having to cross the border briefly before they safely arrive at the Hilltop. In Season 10, Alden trains with the others on the oceanside beach, throwing his spear like a pro once again. After finding a Whisperer mask, Alden and Luke head out to search for Whisperers. Later, he's radioed in over to a campsite that has seemed to be attacked and occupied by some Whisperers. Very confusing. Alden and the others cross the border after the satellite crashes down to Earth and causes a fire that could wipe out Oceanside. Soon, some walkers approach and he helps to kill the zombies and also put out the fire in the morning. At the Hilltop, days later, Alden goes to help hurt residents after a tree collapsed on the wall and injured some people. Alden argues the Whisperers are responsible. He helps kill the walkers and loads a supply cart for the Oceanside and watches it leave. Alden then argues they should use the tree for defense weapons to Yumiko. He comforts Yumiko as she worries about Kelly and the search party after her, and talks to Earl when he claims that the Whisperers will come back for more. Alden says he hasn't forgotten about them. Alden and Earl spot a convoy coming and they puzzle over who Mary is. Earl questions Aaron, who reveals she is a former Whisperer who wants to see her nephew Adam. Earl shoots this motion down and Alden agrees, backing him up, telling Earl they'll just let Alexandria see the doctor and nothing more. Alden later stops Mary from talking to Adam and says after everything they've lost, she doesn't have the right to see him. Aaron comes to try to defend Mary, but Alden argues if he dies tonight, it will be for everything they've been trying to build for Adam, and storms off. Alden eventually readies with the others for the Battle of the Hilltop. As the Whisperers approach, Alden helps kill the zombies until they're doused in tree sap and must retreat from the flaming arrows. Alden eventually is split off from Earl and is left with Mary, Kelly, and baby Adam. They walk on the road and Adam cries. Mary suggests she can help, but Alden refuses it. Alden eventually allows her to soothe Adam's crying and asks her about her sister. When a herd arrives, Mary leads the gang to a van. After getting it open, she hands over Adam and forces the van door shut. Alden watches as she screams to divert the walkers' attention away, and after seeing Mary has been killed by Beta and is turned into a walker, with Beta waiting for her to turn, Alden decides to shoot a zombie Mary instead of Big Boy Beta. That was a dumb move, Alden. Before Alden can shoot Beta, he legs it. Soon, Alden is reunited with everyone else and helps to evacuate Alexandria, but he and Aaron stay hidden in a windmill and listen to Beta's plans, just narrowly avoiding being spotted by him. They begin to follow the herd through the woods and various other places, radioing into Gabriel that they are heading to the Oceanside, like planned. Whilst in the woods, he talks how once Alpha was dead, they could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel of this war, but soon Aaron notices something is wrong and he tells Alden to leave. As they turn around, they are surrounded by Whisperers, one with a gun. But God knows, somehow they overpower this group by the next episode and begin to kill them. We see Alden stab a Whisperer just as Elijah shows up to help. Alden then was reunited with Maggie off screen, and later he's seen in the hospital after Maggie saves Gabriel. After the battle, Alden is seen with Gracie and Maggie as they talk, and with the Hilltop destroyed, Alden of course was forced to join Alexandria. In Season 11, Alden helps with the supply run at Fort Connors, helping to lower the women down as they get supplies. When the zombies begin to awake, Alden shoots arrows at the zombies as one by one the women are lifted back to the roof. Later they return to Alexandria and Alden joins the mission to go to Meridian. They walk through the rain and the storm and decide to go underground through the metro system. When they enter, they hear some weird rumbles and Alden informs the group it's just air pushed through the pipes. They soon come across walkers in bags and Alden helps to stab and kill them. After Gage is nearly killed and Negan saves him, Negan voices that they should all go back and calls out Maggie. Alden threatens to put a gag in Negan's mouth and Negan says, "Why don't you get up on your little tippy toes and try?" When Gage and Roy have dipped and zombies begin approaching, Alden heads to the train car and tries to bust it open. Failing that, he climbs on the roof to escape. He lowers himself down into the train car, noting that Maggie is missing and takes Negan at his word that she was right behind him. The group decide to push on and soon they hear tapping and Alden recognizes it as Morse code for SOS. Alden then helps get Maggie up from beneath the train and Alden accuses Negan of trying to kill Maggie. Alden brings up how he also helped burn Hilltop. The tension is broken by Gage's pleas and they see Gage is locked behind a train cart door. Alden tries to open the door but Maggie denies the motion and Alden says he's right there but Maggie doesn't budge. Alden says to hell with you and tries to open it himself but Duncan holds him back. Alden then watches Gage kill himself and be devoured. After Gage turns, Alden points out that no one can look at him and Gabriel says that is all that is a man who died a coward. Alden points out that's a hot take and says he didn't deserve to die like that in the worst case imaginable. Maggie points out there are worse ways and tells her story about when she was out on the road. When Gage and his walker friends eventually break through the train cart door, Alden helps to kill the walkers before Daryl comes in to save the day. Alden emerges from the metro station with the others as they begin to see the bodies that have been strung up along the road. Suddenly Roy is killed and they all scatter into the woods as the Reapers approach them. Alden gets separated from his crew and winds up in a shopping mall where he soon finds Maggie. Suddenly, Bossy, a Reaper, jumps out and attacks Alden, as Maggie is attacked by another called Turner. Maggie soon throws a knife into Bossy, saving Alden, but when Maggie inspects Alden, he has been badly hurt. The Reaper has obviously slashed his stomach area and he's got some nasty wounds. Negan wants to turn back, but Maggie wants to keep on going, so they end up carrying Alden out of there. As they walk, they soon hear some screams from Agatha and go to help. Alden is left to walk on his own and is barely able to take out a single walker. After Duncan is put down, Alden, Maggie and Agatha trek through the woods and Alden talks to Maggie about Hilltop, how Alden is raising a kid, and he also tries to bring up what happens if he dies, but Maggie shuts him down quickly. Walkers get close and Negan helps Alden get to safety, but Agatha doesn't make it out. They get out the woods and take the road, and Negan points out it isn't safe. Alden agrees. They see a church and decide to stop off there, but Alden wants to keep on moving. Alden points out he's slowing them all down when they get into the church, and that it's only going to get worse once they actually have a proper fight with the Reapers. Alden talks about why he walked away from Negan and how he trusts Maggie to do the right thing. He tells her the supplies are the only thing that matter now, and Maggie points out that Adam needs a father, but Alden says if they don't get those supplies, Adam will die anyway. Alden makes his choice to stay in the church. Negan and Maggie argue, but she agrees to leave him there. Maggie and Negan leave Alden in the church with food and a knife, and Maggie tells Alden he better be there when they get back, and Alden jokes that she better come back. He closes the door and slumps down in pain, and that is sadly the last we see of Alden alive. Off screen, Alden was in the church when a Reaper tracked him down and entered. Despite Alden's wounds and the fact that the Reaper was able to break his legs, he fought to the death against him and was able to kill the Reaper. But just as Alden killed the Reaper was able to slit Alden's throat, killing him. Alden died and soon turned into a walker. Maggie returns to the church to look for Alden. She kills the zombie Reaper and sees that Alden has turned into a walker. She sadly bends down as he crawls towards her. She grabs his head and stabs him, putting him down for good. Maggie weeps for him and later buries him in the woods. R.I.P. Alden. So, that was a pretty big death. Alden was a cool main character who definitely, I feel, was underused. He started as a saviour who obviously reformed and joined our core group, helping to build up the Hilltop and becoming a great friend to Maggie when they started off as a very hostile relationship. He became a key aspect of the group, but he wasn't perfect. We saw him being a bit hypocritical when it came to Lydia after he lost Enid. Alden may have not agreed with everything Maggie did, but he went on this mission because he trusted her, and he died because of it. Alden's death will likely have a massive impact on Maggie in the episodes to come. Like I said, I do wish we learned a bit more about him and fleshed him out a bit more, but it's still sad to see him go. He was still a character, he had things going for him, and it's sad that he's gone, and obviously Adam now has to get a new daddy. Tell me your thoughts on Alden, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, tell me your thoughts on him, like I said, and goodbye.